Taking your power back from your shadow self is very important to understand how you can do this and understand how your shadow self is causing you to self-sabotage, causing you to forget yourself, causing you to destroy yourself. And it's all about observing the emotions that you feel and pain that you feel, allowing yourself to feel every emotion, positive or negative, and not criticizing yourself for it, but instead observing it. I wanted to share my experience because normally I don't like feeling vulnerable or showing the side of me that's actually struggling like a lot of people do, but I wanted to share this experience that I had today and that inspired me to film this video. I went to bed last night sobbing, feeling lonely, the most alone that I've ever felt, asking God if I'm cursed, going to bed really terrible. I'm 26, still figuring it out. All the friends that I used to have just vanished. We didn't have anything go wrong, the groups that I used to be a part of, and I just feel so lonely and by myself. I reach out to people, they don't really reach out to me, so I feel like my energy is leaking. And the new moon just passed, and new moons usually initiate new beginnings. And since it was a new moon in Cancer, I'm having to go through and squeeze out and wring out all of the emotional self-sabotage and emotional shadows that I lurk in from time to time and face them. So I wanted to share this experience. Going to bed terrible. So I woke up feeling terrible. I woke up not feeling my best self, but I still somehow dragged myself to the gym. But on the way to the gym, this is the whole point. It was a decision that I made while driving to the gym. On my way to the gym, I was like, oh, I am feeling like crap. I don't feel my best. I don't feel strong. I don't like the way I look. I don't like my situation right now. I feel so alone. I feel like a black sheep in the world, not just in my family, that I already feel like a black sheep in my family. And I was like, let me go binge eat. Let me go to Starbucks, buy everything on the menu, buy the most chocolate and sweet drink, and just indulge so I can satiate this pain that I feel inside. So I can feel some comfort. So I can feel tasty. So I can feel sweet. I wanted to do that. What happened while I was driving is that I observed that thought, right? I was like participating in it, like trying to drive, and observed that thought. And I was like, wait a second. Your future self isn't going to be happy about this decision that you're making. Your future self, this is going to cause you to beat yourself up even more than you already do on a day-to-day. So how can we change this? How can I change this? So I'm like in the spirit realm, or like looking at myself like above from a higher perspective, and I'm like, don't participate in that. You're gonna hate yourself for it. And it's not something that's conducive to your healing. It's not behavior that's making you better. It's behavior that's making you feel lower, because you have to be conscious about what you put into your body, right? So I'm like, I'm supposed to be going to the gym. So I made it to the gym, still feeling terrible. I was like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to get through this workout, because I don't feel capable. I feel weak. So I got on the treadmill, and normally in the gym, you listen to your music, you cue your music, you just start listening to a bunch of words and beats that'll get you going. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get on this treadmill and I'm gonna listen to some self-help videos. I'm gonna try to help myself, try to absorb some information. That was a dragonfly. Try to absorb some information while I'm working out and helping my body that will make me feel better about myself and feel better about my day. So I listened to Heinz. I listened to 3 videos by him, and I was inspired, like so inspired by his messages and his words. And I realized it was exactly the medicine that I needed. Because, I'm 26, but I'm still winging it in this life, trying to figure it out. So it's such a blessing to be able to have people who are giving their information and their lessons and their experiences out for free, because it actually really does help other people who are struggling. Listening to those positive words that he had to say changed my whole day around, or helped me continue on my day and on my journey. And now look where I'm at now. I'm filming content. The struggle that a lot of us have is that we spend a lot of time spiraling and beating ourselves up for spiraling without trying to get out of the spiral. You have to try to get out of the spiral, and this is taking your power back from your shadow self, and your shadow self that wants you to indulge, to forget about improving yourself. Because what I've realized recently is that sometimes we are scared of the person we are becoming because the habits and the coping mechanisms that our future self has nothing to do with what we're doing now. They're totally different. And it's scary, that kind of power, because we're not used to it. We spent years and years of participating in bad habits and self-sabotage to the point where anything outside of that makes us uncomfortable. But the thing is, you have to be uncomfortable to grow, and you have to be willing to face yourself and take that step. So the first step is always to just observe your thoughts and not criticize them. But when you observe them, you make that observation, you're like, okay, this is me acting as my shadow self. How can I get out of that? If you make one bad habit in the day, you don't need to spend the whole day making those bad habits. At any point in the day, you can turn your day around. And when you continue to turn your days around, you start to turn your life around. You're driving the boat. You know what I'm saying? And so after the gym, I was feeling better. I came home and I made a smoothie. I made a smoothie bowl. I gave some to my father, I gave some to my mother, and it was healthy, full of fruits, nutrients, drinking a lot of water, instead of eating all that processed crap that I was actually about to binge eat and participate in. Because now I'm feeling better. I've released the endorphins in the gym by working out. I made it through, all because I had a conversation with myself. I observed myself when I was doing my bad behaviors. I observed the emotions that I was feeling because they were passed on from last night in the few weeks that I've been in the hole. And I know I'm not the only one feeling this way because I've seen it. People are brave enough to share their stories and share their experiences, and that's why I'm brave enough right now to share my experience, to share that I do have a binge eating disorder, to share that I am not as confident as I've always shown everyone. Like there is a vulnerable side to me, and there's a vulnerable side to you too. And once you accept that and you're honest with yourself and you meet with that person, you're able to observe yourself a little bit more and see yourself objectively, and then be like, hey, I'm not going to participate in this behavior anymore because it's not in alignment with my future self. I'm choosing to step up. I'm choosing to change my day and change my life. I woke up and looked at Twitter, absorbing other people's thoughts, notifications, ding, 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 ding. And some people will say the way you start your day is how your day is gonna go. And while that's true, the way you start your day does help if you're doing positive things. The way you start your day doesn't have to define your day. You can reclaim that. You can take that back. Yes, I started on Twitter, but I made it to the gym. I put healthy foods into my body, and I moved on with my day. And now I'm here in my backyard making this video, sharing my story and my perspective in the hopes that it'll help someone else. I was like, you know what? In order for me to feel good, sometimes I have to put on makeup, and it enhances me, makes me feel great. I'm a sidereal Taurus, tropical Taurus Venus. I like glamour. I like to look good. I like to smell good. A little bit of perfume. Even though I'm sweating right now in the backyard in this humid weather, I still feel good because I look good. I put into myself. And that's something that you need to do every day. And I realize sometimes in the modern day spirituality, they're just like, get up, do your affirmations, tell yourself this, tell yourself that. And I was trying to do them the past week, right? But I realized I wasn't believing anything that I was saying. I wasn't believing it because I was too vulnerable, I was too low. Sometimes that's not going to work for everyone. Affirmations, trying to convince yourself that you're okay when you're not feeling it. So you have to face those feelings. You have to let yourself feel the lows so they can remind you of how it's going to feel, of the freedom you're going to feel when you get to the highs. Because there's always going to be lows and highs highs and lows. Life is a wave. That's why we're ruled by the moon. We're governed by that moon and the waves. Sometimes life is good, sometimes life is bad, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. So do things every day for yourself that make you feel good, even when you don't feel good. So I knew I felt like crap. So going to the gym, I was like, I know I don't feel good right now, but going to the gym, after I go to the gym, I'm going to feel better. And it worked. And I listened to some self-help videos because I was like, the music isn't doing it. I was feeling so low and alone. And it sucks when you feel alone too. Like you don't have any friends or anybody. And you're just like winging it by yourself, raw dogging life. You can always pull yourself out. Take your power back from your shadow self midday, mid-moment, because every moment is an opportunity for you to do better for yourself, to choose better. Don't start making excuses like, oh, I already did this today, then let me just participate in everything bad all day long. Self-sabotage. We're not doing that anymore. I feel so much better than I felt last night. And a few days ago, these past couple weeks where I've been binge eating, binge drinking, just harming myself overall. And you also have to be mindful of what you're consuming daily. And it's not even just food. It can be people's thoughts. It can be what people are sharing. And every time, I don't care what anyone says, anytime anyone shares something, you're comparing it to yourself. You're comparing it to where you are. So if someone is like, oh, got a car at 19, yes, you can be happy for them. But then you're gonna look at yourself, like, what am I doing with my life? And then that can make you feel low. So that's why lately, most of the time, I like to listen to music that doesn't really have words to it, so I can vibe and feel something on my own. Icy Twat Radio. It's a bunch of vibes, it's beats, just beats that you can just feel your body move to. You can chill. One of my favorites. I have it on repeat all day for the last 2 weeks, because sometimes listening to people's words talking about how they're having sex and they're in love and they're going to the club, I'm like, that's not what's happening to me right now. And in this day and age, we're all obsessed with manifesting for ourselves, and it's just not in alignment with what's actually happening in reality. So it's like you have to be real with yourself, and being real with yourself comes with being vulnerable. Willing to share yourself. Sometimes you have to move your body around, get some exercise, cry to get the energy out. And then you're on a clear slate. And then you can move from there. It's a butterfly. Beautiful. Butterflies symbolize transformation and freedom. Something that helps me is I have to sing. I'll freestyle a melody and just start singing words that might not make sense to you, but they make sense to me. Speak to me in wisdom, the tongue of your soul. It makes sense to my soul. And just getting it out, it just makes you feel better. It helps your throat chakra. The vibes of the music when you're singing, you're feeling, it's tingling. It's getting that out. It's strengthening. You have to find ways to strengthen yourself. And the first step is to observe yourself. Recognize your triggers. Recognize your stressors in your environment. And if you can't change them, then you're going to have to pay more attention and work even harder on taking care of yourself in the spaces you're in. Putting yourself first. Because there's no codes. There's no code of life. There's no cheat code. You're going to feel the pain. You're going to feel the sorrow. But you can come out on top. But I've decided to be more honest with myself and more vulnerable and open and share my experience more, because I know I'm not the only one feeling this way. And usually when you share and you open yourself up, you can attract people who are like-minded, instead of trying to mold yourself into being what's trendy or what's acceptable or what's all that's pleasant. Life isn't all pleasant. Life gets chaotic. There's a lot of healing that's going on. We got astrology, numerology, all these ologies, human design, just to associate with an archetype. But what's that association going to do if we're not applying it to ourselves and learning our strengths and weaknesses that we have in our chart based on the cosmos? And we're just like, I'm a Taurus, I'm stubborn, I do this, this, and this, I like sensual experiences. Well, then how are we going to get those sensual experiences? We have to live through our chart and not just be in here cerebral, knowing something but not doing anything about it. Knowing you have 12th house placements but continuing to self-sacrifice and sabotage. Knowing you have 7th house placement but continuing to just let yourself be projected on by other people, instead of being like, hey, I can use this gift that I have, these powers that I have innately to help and grow. Sometimes you're not just given all these tools to make something. Sometimes you have to plant a seed and grow. Sometimes it's all that it takes sometimes is awareness. Being aware of something. Like I said earlier, when you're observing your thoughts, you're aware of the behaviors you're participating in so you can change it. So if we're aware of all of this astrology, numerology, all of these vibrations, then how can we equip them and utilize them, integrate the knowledge? That's all about taking your power back from your shadow self. Because what your shadow self will do, the not self, the one that's been conditioned to feel a certain way by the masses, by the people, the shadow self will self-sabotage. The shadow self will tell you, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't fit the aesthetic that's trending. I can't afford to be in spaces like this. I don't have men coming in and bowing at my feet and kissing my feet and willing to pay for my apartment. You know what I'm saying? You have to be honest with yourself. And honest with where you fit in the world, and not absorb that information and internalize the information that you see from scrolling all day long. Seeing people in their brightest selves, like Heinz said. It's a Heinz Stingman. He said people on Instagram are just showing their confident selves. No one's ever showing and sharing like their L's or like how they're feeling low. They're only presenting the beautiful thing. So if you're feeling low and you're just absorbing all this information, all these celebrities and everyone perfect bodies and perfect lives that it looks like, it's not perfect, it's an illusion. And that's Maya. That's the world we live in. That's Rahu. Rahu, the shadow planet, the one that's in charge of all of this innovation and forward movement and fame and deception. You know what I'm saying? We gotta recognize it. Recognize it. Don't let it get to you, because it gets to me sometimes, and I know it gets to some people. Some people it doesn't. I'm not gonna say I'm speaking for everyone. Some people it doesn't. Some people are fine just the way they are, and that's good for them. There's people like you and I who, you know, everything is so beautiful in this world. Everything's so stimulating. I'm very much stimulated by a lot of things. I'm always looking for a sensation, or for my mood to be satiated, or everything to feel pleasant. So when it's not pleasant, it's just destruction. There's no in between. I'm very extreme. There's some people, I know some of y'all can agree, it's either this way or that way. There's really rarely any in between. But you have to find that balance. You have to learn to be in between. You have to learn to be like, yeah, sure, you feel this way about yourself, but you also feel this way. And also realizing that your feelings are just, they're never permanent. They're always changing. Feelings are always changing. You're not gonna feel the same way you feel now, tomorrow, or even the next week. You might feel the same way tomorrow, but eventually you'll get out of it. And hopefully through this video, you learned how to observe your thoughts and your habits and what you consume, and get out of that. Learn how to get out of that when you're feeling this way. Because the shadow self just wants you to stay dark and in the shadows. Wants you to thrive there. When you're trying to get out of the shadows and bring life and light into your own life. Therefore, bringing light and life into the world. Thank y'all for watching. Luna Giselle out.